Hello then, and welcome back to another Star Wars What If reaction. In this video, we'll be reacting to What If Anakin Skywalker went to Kashyyyk instead of Yoda, Part 2. We reacted to Part 1 about 3 weeks ago, so yeah, it's been some time. It's 3 or 2 weeks ago, I don't quite remember now. But either way, this Star Wars What If was made by the Star Wars Galaxies, so make sure to check him out. The links to his channel is in the description. And yeah, Part 1 was probably my favorite What If ever, so I hope that Part 2 holds up. So yeah, let's get right into the video.
Alright, so, as you know, we're reacting to part 2 of this What If. Reacted to part 1, actually a long time ago, 3 weeks ago. And I just want to recap a little bit. So last What If, obviously Anakin went to Kashyyyk. Palpatine still declared Order 66. He wanted to kill Anakin. Anakin didn't die. Anakin returned to Coruscant, and found out that, well, Padme and Obi-Wan are both dead in this What If. Of course, last What If, part 1, when I reacted to part 1, I was really hoping that Padme and Obi-Wan survived. We don't know, but they're most likely dead. Anakin also made his way to Coruscant with the Wookiee Padawan that we see in Rebels. I don't quite remember his name, though, right now. But, yeah. So Obi-Wan and Padme are dead. Anakin is, alive. Yoda, I'm not sure if Yoda's dead. I don't remember, but I guess we'll see. So let's continue with part 2.
The second part of our story begins in the Jedi Temple in Coruscant.
One thing I also want to mention is last time I said that part 1 might just be my favorite and is my favorite What If I've ever seen so far. So let's see if part 2 holds up as well as part 1.
As Anakin Skywalker was working his way through the broken down temple gates to try and get to the bottom of everything.
Alright.
His life had been completely turned upside down.
Yeah.
As the entire Jedi Order was just wiped out by the clone army.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, the clones seemed to be gone from the temple, aside from a handful of security troopers that Anakin had no trouble moving past.
Okay.
He would not allow himself to think of Obi-Wan, Padme, the droids, aside from losing everyone in the Order.
Yeah, R2 and C-3PO also gone, because in the scene where Obi-Wan and Padme were getting, killed last part 1, R2 and C-3PO sacrificed themselves, but then Obi-Wan and Padme still died, and Sidious, he's been hurt very badly, so I think Sidious, put himself in the Vader suit, part 1.
He lost his best friend, his wife with their child, and if Anakin let himself think about it too much, it would destroy him.
Very sad.
He now was walking through the temple, and the fires had at least died down to be nothing more than just smoke, as Anakin tried not looking at all of the slain bodies littering the floor. They were countless, and they were of all ages.
Yeah.
But Anakin just pushed forward, soon entering the temple communications room, and hoping that the last messages were not erased from the council. So, Anakin could figure out why all of this had happened.
Yeah.
Once Anakin did get to the security console, he flicked it on, but quickly found that it had been erased very recently.
Okay.
Anakin slammed his fist angrily into the console, but then it began to beep, alerting Anakin to an emergency broadcast from the Republic HoloNet.
Oh.
Anakin clicked on the button, and his heart dropped once more, as he saw exactly what was happening. Chancellor Palpatine was in the middle of the Senate, but it wasn't truly him.
Okay.
The top of his mask was removed, but as Anakin looked into the HoloNet, he saw Palpatine in some sort of mechanical suit, describing the attack on his life by the Jedi Council.
Okay, buddy.
And he went over how the loyal clone army saved him just in time.
Anakin might connect the dots and figured out Palpatine was at Padme's apartment because, there were clear signs of an explosion there.
But he, of course, has been scarred, deformed, and has been placed in this suit to preserve his life. He said the entire Jedi Order had to be taken care of, so that this terrible war could finally come to an end. Darth Sidious was just terribly injured in the explosion at Padme's apartment, and he was repaired and put into the suit to keep him alive, and now was declaring himself Emperor. Anakin watched it all happen, and the pieces began to fall into place. The warnings from the Council, the mission to spy on Palpatine, all of it made sense. Palpatine is Sidious. Anakin felt angry, confused, betrayed. But as he was processing everything, a voice spoke from the entrance to the room, telling Anakin that all of this was supposed to belong to him. This empire could have been his. Anakin ignited his blade and pointed it forward to see that...
Who's it gonna be?
This was a temple guard.
Oh.
So Anakin asked
the Grand Inquisitor.
he was doing here. What happened here at the temple? and the guard said it was simple. The clones took care of the traitorous Jedi. And Anakin quickly yelled out that there were
Okay.
children here, innocent children. The Grand Inquisitor shrugged, saying that he did what was best for the coming Empire.
Okay,
And
buddy.
he ignited his own lightsaber, telling Anakin that
Man, you're cooked. You're facing Anakin Skywalker. You're dead. You are dead.
he cannot let him walk out of here. He deserves to be Sidious's next apprentice, not Anakin Skywalker. And if he can kill Anakin, Sidious will truly train him.
Okay, buddy.
Anakin spun his blade around in his hand, and he liked this feeling. He allowed himself to smile a bit, telling the temple guard he had made a great mistake confronting him,
Yeah,
and he would
you
be
have.
wise to stand down. The Inquisitor ignited the other side of his blade, and he angrily ran forward,
You're cooked.
slamming his saber
You're done.
into Anakin
You're dead.
with rapid speed. Elsewhere on Coruscant, Padme Amidala was running through the underworld and around.
Oh my god, I forgot Padme survived. Oh. Shit, I remember. Dude, I remember now. R2 and C-3PO sacrificed themselves. There was an explosion in the apartment, right? And Obi-Wan also died to save Padme, and she got out of the building. She managed to get out of the building and survive. But Anakin thinks she's dead because a necklace or something from her was left behind in the apartment. So Anakin obviously thinks she's dead as well. Oh my god, I forgot she survived though. Oh.
Every corner, there were clone troopers searching for Jedi
That's made me
that
happy.
had escaped the temple. And there was more than one occasion where Padme saw clones shoot down young Jedi trying to get out of here. All of the spaceports were being heavily monitored, and Padme felt like she was going in circles as she too was being hunted. She was looking for a way out of here. After a while, she turned a corner and ran right into a commander and 3 of his men.
Okay.
It was Commander Fox, and he almost
Oh,
immediately
that dickhead.
recognized her, holding up his blaster and telling Padme she was under arrest. Padme pretended to surrender, then quickly pulled out her blaster and shot 2 of the clones. Fox set his blaster to stun, firing at Padme, and Padme held up her hands, but the blasts never hit her. She soon opened her eyes to see the young Wookiee Jedi standing in front of her, blocking the shots from Fox.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, what's his name, though? Gungi. Gungi, that's his name. He went, he helped Anakin out of Kashyyyk, and he went with him to Coruscant, and then Anakin said that he must do this alone. And now Gungi's here saving Padme. Oh my, Gungi, man, you're the man. You're the guy.
And Padme was able to fire, taking out the final clone troopers with the help of the Jedi Gungi.
Wow.
Padme and Gungi got into a hidden warehouse, and she thanked him for his help. Gungi roared quietly, saying he is being hunted, and Padme said that she knows and is sorry. And then she asked if he came from the Jedi Temple. Gungi shook his head, and he told Padme exactly how he got here, and Gungi had no idea just how meaningful this conversation would be.
Yeah.
Padme just learned that not only was Anakin still alive, but he was here, on Coruscant. She told Gungi they have to find him, and Gungi said Anakin didn't want him around anymore. Padme tried smiling, saying that Anakin has a weird way of connecting with people. He pushes them away because he's afraid of losing them, and they must find him together.
Okay.
Gungi nodded, and the 2 of them would begin sneaking through Coruscant together, as Gungi said he knew where Anakin was going.
Oh.
Back inside of the
Let's
Jedi
go.
Temple, Anakin Skywalker went flying through an entire row of archive holocrons. He scrambled back to his feet, spinning away as the Inquisitor cut through where Anakin just was. He brushed his hair away, holding out his hands to say sort of, "Bring it on," as the Inquisitor came back at him. And this time, Anakin dodged the strike, kicked him in the back, and at first, the Inquisitor had
Temple
fought
Guard,
with
man.
true strength.
You're done.
Movements were sharp and efficient, but as this fight was dragging on, something darker began to bleed into his technique. His footwork was much more aggressive, strikes were heavier, and Anakin would let the fight stretch out, feeling the growing fear in his opponent as he began to overpower him.
Yeah.
The Inquisitor fought well for a good while, but could do little more than defend against the fury of Anakin.
Yeah,
He
you're
spun
done.
around his double-bladed lightsaber in a desperate attempt to regain any sort of control here, but Anakin finally just swatted it aside with a brutal downward strike.
Mm-hmm.
When the Ground Inquisitor tried to lunge forward once more, Anakin sidestepped, delivering a vicious punch to his ribs, sending him crashing, crumbling into the remains of a temple pillar.
There we
Anakin
go.
moved forward, and he now held his blade to the Inquisitor's face, telling him it is over. But the Inquisitor was never going to surrender, not with this opportunity right in front of him. He had to kill Anakin.
Oh, you're not
He
doing
began
it.
using the Force, pulling down debris from the walls, but Anakin spun his blade to cut off his head once and for all.
Yeah.
And the debris fell safely to the floor as it was over. Anakin felt his power, and he would leave the temple, knowing now who his true enemy was. Darth Sidious, now Emperor Palpatine.
The problem is Anakin probably wants to go and kill him now, and I don't know. Although, you know, Palpatine is in that fucking suit, which is completely new to him.
He did this to the galaxy, and he must be destroyed. But as Anakin exited the temple and looked to his ship, there were now 2 people right next to it. Gungi had known that Anakin was going back to the temple, so he took Padme here to find him. And as Padme saw Anakin, she took off running towards him, and Anakin truly couldn't believe his eyes.
How sweet.
When he was in her apartment, he could have sworn she was gone, but Anakin began to remember. He only found the necklace. There was no sign of her. So he embraced it, and he began running at her. The 2 of them would hold each other for a long time, and they wished it could have been forever. But unfortunately, clone gunships would begin flying through the sky towards the temple. Their lights were shining down, looking for any Jedi stragglers. Anakin, Gungi, and Padme would get into their ship and take off just in time. Anakin would ask Padme how she and the baby were doing, and Padme would tell Anakin they need to get somewhere off-world so she can have the child, and they need to do it soon.
She gotta do it.
Coruscant is probably the safest place in the galaxy to have a child, especially for her in her Senate position, but she of course is being hunted, so they need to get somewhere else. Anakin understood, and they would begin considering different ideas. And as they flew around, Anakin also assured Gungi that he was glad that he came back with Padme, as he will help him in his Jedi training from here on out. Gungi loved to hear this. He of course admired Anakin, just like any young Jedi did in the Order. So finding him was about the best possible scenario, considering everything that had gone down. Across Coruscant, Darth Sidious had returned to the medical center, where he was just put together not long ago, and he was being lowered into a Bacta tank, as his wounds were trying to heal. And as Sidious was in here, contemplating what his life would be like from here on out, Commander Cody entered, and he reported that the Grand Inquisitor has been found dead in the temple, and the security footage shows it to be Anakin Skywalker. Sidious cursed to himself, and he closed his eyes for a long moment, and then he ordered that Cody spread out security across Coruscant, begin tracking everyone close to Anakin and Padme, all known senators, any remaining Jedi friends, anyone who has been in contact with them in recent years must be tracked if they decide to leave the planet. Cody nodded, thinking of everyone the clones could follow, and he left to begin spreading out the security. Padme and Anakin would eventually decide to go find Bail Organa, as he had a ship that could get them anywhere they needed to go.
They gotta hurry.
So, when they found Bail and told them Padme needs to get to a hospital anywhere else in the galaxy, Bail knew just the place. Luckily, he was about to take off back to Alderaan as well, so this was a good excuse. He could just load them in the ship, and he should be alright. They were going to go to Polis Massa, as they had many allies on the asteroid, to himself, along with the Jedi Order. So of course he offered to bring them there, and it wouldn't be long until they took off. But as Sidious requested, a tracker would have been placed on this ship, and it would most certainly be followed to wherever the ship was going. Once they were on Polis Massa, Padme was brought into a room to be looked at by the droid doctors, and Anakin would actually take Gungi into a nearby room mostly empty, in order to begin teaching him about the Force. When Ahsoka left the Order, Anakin didn't think he'd ever take another Padawan. He needed to finish Ahsoka's training first. But as things stood now, the Order was gone. He didn't think Ahsoka was even alive anymore, and Gungi would be next in line in a long list of young Jedi that could potentially help bring back the Order someday. Anakin wondered if perhaps he could be the upcoming Grand Master, so he decided he would.
I don't remember though, is Yoda dead by this point? Did Yoda die in part 1? I don't remember.
Help Gungi and any other Jedi that he eventually finds. Anakin would sit with the young Wookiee, and together, the 2 of them worked to feel the Force around them, as Anakin helped Gungi to find the light in a galaxy filled with darkness. They sat here together for a very long time, until Gungi opened his eyes and began telling Anakin that he feels something else in the Force, something new. A darkness is approaching. Anakin's eyes suddenly jolted open, as he too felt it, and the 2 of them would run to the window, right as an Imperial ship emerged from hyperspace and began descending down into the asteroid planet.
Oh, fuck.
Anakin said they must have been followed, and he began running to the door as he told Gungi to stay in here, protect Padme. He will handle Darth Sidious. And Anakin would walk to the main door, protected by a ray shield.
Except
because the
it's clones and not Sidious.
outside was just space. So Anakin put on a space helmet, space suit, and he walked outside, where Sidious was standing in
Oh,
his
wait,
new
Sidious did go there. Okay, fuck.
metal suit, his breathing echoing through the entire area. And Sidious told Anakin that they could have shared this future together as the most powerful Sith duo in the galaxy. But instead, perhaps his child will serve him as his next apprentice in the dark side.
No.
Anakin ignited his lightsaber, telling Sidious that will never happen. He will die here. He will pay for all of the Jedi he killed. Sidious ignited his saber as well, and he smiled under the new mask. He was going to enjoy this. And the silence of the void of space outside the facility was now only broken by the sudden clash of the lightsabers. Skywalker and Sidious moved as quick.
Well, the thing is, in the Revenge of the Sith, Anakin could just never beat Sidious. He's not strong enough. But Sidious is in that damn suit. He was just put in a suit. So that's going to, you know, decisively give Anakin a bigger advantage, right? But still, I don't know. Sidious's stronger. I mean, they are fighting with lightsabers, and Sidious's movements are going to be heavily restricted by the suit, you know?
Quickly as they could in the low gravity of Polis Massa,
Okay.
the planetoid floating amongst an asteroid field. Movements both graceful, erratic, dictated by the unnatural physics of their battleground. Anakin was still getting used to this spacesuit, and he pushed off the jagged surface of a group of nearby rocks, using his momentum to twist through the air, bringing his glowing blue blade crashing down.
Okay.
Sidious, of course, still getting used to his suit as well.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
armored suit allowed him to breathe in this environment, and he raised his red saber, parried the strikes, the impact sending him drifting backwards. The mechanical limbs hissed as they adjusted to try to stabilize him, but Anakin was relentless on his path, adjusting his footing, leaping forward again, slashing in a flurry of powerful strikes.
Okay.
Each blow sent sparks into the void of space, dissipating like fleeting stars. Sidious retaliated with more speed, fueled by the darkness, cybernetic enhancements, compensating for his ruined body.
Yeah.
He reached out with the Force, beginning to hurl debris from the asteroid's fragmented surface at Anakin. Anakin twisted midair, narrowly avoiding the jagged rocks, and he planted his feet against a floating boulder, propelling himself back into the fray. The duel was a fight of adaptation, with both of them adjusting to the weightless environment, using every available object as leverage.
God damn.
Sidious attempted a downward slash,
Okay.
but Anakin sensed the attack, and he used the asteroid's gravity to his advantage, dodging in a slow, calculated backflip before pushing off the building and countering with a powerful kick, sending the Sith Lord hurtling through space.
Okay.
And as Anakin was taking a moment to begin catching his breath, things were escalating inside the Polis Massa facility, as Gungi stood protectively before Padme, green lightsaber ignited, waiting for any sort of attack.
Okay.
And the doors did eventually burst open, as 4 of Palpatine's Crimson Royal Guards stormed in.
Gungi's cooked, man. Gungi's dead. The fuck is he gonna do against those 4 Royal Guards? I mean, they're trying to fight Jedi, and this is just a mere Padawan. He's done.
Electrostaffs crackling to life. The Wookiee Jedi let out a deep, guttural growl before charging forward, saber cutting through the first staff in a shower of sparks. The
God.
second guard swung low, forcing Gungi to leap backwards. The third and the fourth one pressed in, overwhelming him with a coordinated strike. He barely parried in time, growls turning into sharp huffs
This
of
is
exertion.
looking bad.
One of the staffs then connected with his shoulder, sending a painful jolt through Gungi's body, but he fought through it, pivoting, slashing upwards. Another guard fell, then another, and the final one attempted a desperate counterattack, but Gungi spun, saber a green blur as he sliced through their weapons, and he ended the fight as his helmet fell to the floor.
Okay,
with
wow.
the
Gungi beat them. I mean, okay. Okay.
others. Gungi stood tall with the strength of Anakin's teachings beginning to flow through him. The guards were defeated, and Padme was still safe. Back outside, Sidious had recovered, and he now extended a clawed mechanical hand forward, trying to use the Force to defeat Anakin. And Anakin barely had time to react before the invisible Force gripped him, crushing the chest area on his spacesuit. The Sith Lord pulled him in,
Oh, that's great.
red blade poised for a killing strike, and Anakin's eyes burned with determination as he used his momentum to his advantage, twisting midair, severing Sidious's forearm from his suit. The Sith Lord shrieked. Voice was a garbled distortion through his mask, and with one arm disabled, his suit was now sparking, and he didn't know what to do as it was shutting down. Sidious attempted to retreat, kicking off the asteroid surface to create any distance. He must get back to his ship. He must repair himself, wait for reinforcements. But Anakin was not letting him escape. He reached out with the Force, dragging the Sith Lord back towards him across the ground. And with a final decisive strike, he swung his blade to cleave through Sidious's mask. The Dark Lord spasmed, his suit failing him, limbs twitching as life support systems collapsed. He looked at Anakin in pure anger as the air around him began to suffocate the life right out of Sidious.
He's got it.
With a final shuddering gasp, his body went limp, drifting lifelessly now into the void of space.
Wow.
Anakin exiled.
He did it.
He'd done it. He, the Chosen One, did destroy the Sith.
Yep.
Inside the facility, Anakin would re-enter, and Padme would soon give a safe birth to the twins, as Anakin nearly forgot all about his visions with the chaos of the last few days. Padme was safe, and so were Luke and Leia, as they knew it was time to get out of here before an Imperial fleet arrives as reinforcements. And with Sidious dead, Padme, Anakin, Bail, and Gungi would fly back to Coruscant, as Bail was able to begin reorganizing a coalition that was put together before Palpatine's rise to Emperor that would allow his death to be celebrated instead of causing any sort of panic. With Sidious dead and the Empire he sought to build collapsing before it could truly rise, Anakin actually turned his gaze towards the future of the Jedi. The galaxy was in disarray. Any loyalists to the Empire had to flee into the shadows, or they were arrested, as Palpatine was proven to be corrupt and the true leader of the Separatists. While the truth about the inhibitor chips controlling the clones to take out the Jedi would come out as well. While those who had resisted the tyranny of the new regime scrambled to rebuild what was lost, Anakin saw the opportunity. The Jedi had fallen. The Order was shattered by war and betrayal, and yet there were still survivors hiding away in the galaxy, waiting for a new leader to emerge. Determined to restore what had been taken from them, he set his sights on Tython, the ancient birthplace of the Jedi, where he would rekindle the light that was tried to extinguish. Upon arriving on Tython, Anakin and his first student, the Wookiee Jedi Gungi, stood before the ruins of temples that were long forgotten. The planet did pulse with the Force still, its deep valleys, towering mountains steeped in history. And here, he would not exactly replicate the old Jedi's failures, but he would begin to create something new while building on the older order. It was an order built on understanding, balance, strength, while respecting the older rigid traditions, but beginning to really bend these traditions. Survivors of the Jedi Purge answered Anakin's call from the Seeing Stone. Cal Kestis, Caleb Doom, and Ahsoka Tano, Anakin's now closest friend and former Padawan, would return to him and join his new order as a Jedi Knight, allowing Anakin to truly call himself a master for the first time. Together they did work.
I love how for him to call himself a master, he had to actually decide that by himself.
The foundations of the Jedi. Training halls were established, walls echoed once more with the hum of lightsabers, peaceful meditation, as Anakin would truly find the light. He would be visited by ghosts from the Force, first Qui-Gon, then Yoda, and even Obi-Wan was allowed into the Force netherworld. There were echoes of others like Windu, Shaak-Ti, Plo Koon, and so many others through time and history. Anakin would teach his students the value of discipline, mastery of the lightsaber, but also emotion, not as a weakness, but as part of life that can be understood and controlled. And as time passed, the Order grew. Refugees seeking hope came to Tython, some with the potential to wield the Force, others looking for peace. Anakin watched as Gungi, Cal, Caleb, Ahsoka, and so many others trained the next generation. Padme was heavily involved in the restoration of the New Republic, and eventually Leia would become a Jedi, but Luke would pursue life outside of the Order, as that was his decision, as he enjoyed following in Padme's footsteps. As the Order grew in the galaxy,
an opposite. Luke became the politician and Leia became the Jedi. Cool.
Away from war, there would always be enemies in the shadows, but most notably the renegade Sith Lord Maul, who was building up his criminal army, but in time the new Jedi Order, led by Anakin and Ahsoka, would take down Maul's criminal empire, as the galaxy would once more see the Jedi as the heroes they were meant to be, rather than just lapdogs of the Senate, as Dooku painted them to be during the war. The galaxy was united after learning that the warring leaders, Dooku and Palpatine, had worked together, and the people wouldn't let their influence overtake them any longer, and so there was true peace for many years, as Grand Master Skywalker continued to oversee the growth of his new Jedi Order. And folks, that is our story for today, the part...
Wow. 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 Chills. I mean, that is absolutely magnificently, impeccably beautiful. Honestly, part 1 I remember watching 3 weeks ago, and I said it was my favorite. And part 2, also just awesome. So these 2 parts must be my favorite what if ever, and especially part 1. Part 1 was just jaw-dropping and just a whirlwind of feelings, and you know. So this might actually be my favorite what if ever. 11 out of 10 for this. 11 out of 10, man. This breaks the scale. You know, this is above. This just breaks the bar. This is way above the bar. You know, I love this what if. You know, special. It's got a place in my heart now, and especially part 1, because that I remember was absolutely sick, man. So just this is above the bar. So a 10 out of 10 doesn't matter. It's just so good. Let me know what you guys think about this what if in the comment section down below. If you agree with what I'm saying, or if you don't, and why. Yeah, thank you for watching.
And that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, make sure to subscribe to the Star Wars Galaxy for more awesome what if content. And do not forget to subscribe to my channel, leave a like, and turn on those notifications so you never miss an upload. Remember, a new Star Wars what if reaction drops every single day. Also, do remember to join our Discord server, the link's in the description. And if you want to support the channel and get exclusive perks, consider joining our Patreon. Yeah, comment down below any feedback, anything, any tips, any recommendations for what ifs that you would like for me to react to, as I always do take those into account. And yeah, subscribe once again. I mean, we're trying to reach for 500 subscribers right now. That would be cool. You know, we're really close to that goal. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. This is the way. May the Force be with you. Until then, I will see you next time.
Hey, you didn't watch it? Well, check out the video on the left side of the screen, which is specifically recommended for you, or check out the playlist on the right of the screen, which contains similar videos to this one, made by me, of course. Hey, remember, subscribe.